Happy Saturday, everyone. Hope one out there is enjoying your weekend. We've got severe weather coming back in the picture by the middle of next week, and also some soaking rains return as well. So let's expand the view this afternoon. Take a look at the overall setup going forward. We're watching an area of disturbed weather. This is off the Aleutian Islands. That's going to be taking a dip in the jet stream, but you can see the jet stream. It's well to the north, folks. We're talking the only cooler areas are the far Pacific areas of the Pacific Northwest, but that jet stream buckles well up into Canada and then dives down again as you head towards portions of New England. But the southern regions, this is all warm air, and that's going to be feeding this warm air advection as this ridge of high pressure actually expands going into the weekend and then early next week, while we're waiting for this trough ejection that's going to be setting up over the Four Corners regions. That's going to set the stage for severe storms coming back in the picture starting on Tuesday across the northern plains. So we got a lot to talk about. First of all, on the satellite picture, you can see what's happening, right? There's just been not much going on. We've had an incredibly dry October so far, but all that's going to change starting on Tuesday. Wednesday, we'll actually have pulses of energy. It'll rain in areas on Thursday for your Halloween, and then waves of moisture return even for next weekend in places like Texas and Oklahoma, where they really haven't seen a drop all October long, and they're going to start getting consecutive days in a row with rain chances going to be on the table. So out in the tropics, we've been watching this area of disturbed weather for a while, and it just really hasn't done anything, folks. I mean, the National Hurricane Center is not really impressed by this area. It's just again an area of showers and thunderstorms, this Central America gyre that we've been watching. Other than that, there's Christy. That was a formidable, powerful, in fact, Category 5 hurricane, but you can see it's winding down and slowly will dissipate out into the open waters of the Pacific. But all eyes are going to be on this area right here that's coming in off the Aleutian Islands. That's going to be the beginning stages of our big pattern change to come as this jet stream starts to buckle. And as it does, that's going to bring down some much colder air. So we're talking snow into the higher elevations of the Intermountain West regions, likely Idaho, places like into Montana, Wyoming, getting into Utah, areas into Colorado. That's going to bring the snow back in the picture. Colder air coming in from the Pacific Northwest, but plenty of warm air out ahead of it. I mean, some of these temperatures are crazy warm, especially like the overnight lows have been, you're going to be going 15, 20, approaching almost 30 degrees above average by the time we get into Tuesday morning. Just insanely warm for late October time frame, but that's what's in store. Let's take a look at some of these record high temperatures before that big time trough ejection that's going to unfold this week. So you can see where the cooler air is, right? It's just where the jet stream buckles. That's the far extreme portions of the Pacific Northwest. We're talking the Washington and Oregon region, highs in the 50s, very pleasant for them, and then swing across the country back into New England. That's where the other secondary dip in the jet stream is. You've got widespread 50s and 60s for highs, even 40s back into Maine. But where that jet stream doesn't dip and you got the southwest wind, that brings into the warmer air anomalies. And we're talking 90s across the board around the deep south. The 80s surge into Oklahoma, 70s spread all the way into Montana, folks. That is definitely warm. And you think that's warm? It even gets warmer as we head into Monday. We're talking potential 34 record high temperature to be broken that day. Again, we still got the cooler anomalies for the Pacific Northwest, areas cooler anomalies for New England. Other than that, middle part of the country just continues to rake up the temperatures. And those widespread 80s lift all the way up into Kansas by then. We're talking 70s, 73 degrees for Minneapolis, Minnesota there. Even 60s surging into Wisconsin. That is definitely plenty warm and well above average for them for this time of year. And it just gets warmer, folks, on Tuesday. Now we're talking 40 record high temperatures unfolding. All those areas encircled, that would be a new record. So, yes, warmers to the south, but even those 80s surge well north this time. We're talking 80s in Nebraska, 85 degrees in Nebraska for late October, almost Halloween. That is insane, folks. 84 into Iowa. We got 80s, lifting all the way to Minnesota, Wisconsin, even Michigan, widespread 70s. So that is definitely plenty warm air. So that just really heightens up the energy in the atmosphere, waiting for this trough ejection. And that's going to spell trouble even with more record high temperatures heading into Wednesday. So we got multiple days of plenty warm air out ahead of this massive trough ejection. So I think the game changer is going to be on Wednesday, with finally the temperatures surge all the way north, so they can't go anymore. Probably even Canada checks in the 70s for highs. But you can see the difference, right? We've got 40s for lows, widespread 40s and 50s, and these dew points are going to have a huge separation from the just warm, moist, more unstable like air mass from Texas into Oklahoma into Missouri, all the way to Wisconsin. And then we've got the drier air mass coming in. So you got the cold anomalies dumping the snow in the Intermountain West regions. And then we've got the clash in temperatures, and where we've got that clash in the demarcation line, that's where we're going to spell trouble, starting to the form of severe storms, likely on Tuesday as we head into the plains, places like Iowa, getting into Wisconsin. Then on Wednesday, we'll have another setup, and then the rains coming back in the picture, just kind of widespread range for areas that just haven't seen much of anything. You're finally going to turn the table for areas further south. But there's the trough ejection. It definitely comes in. This is a Tuesday night, Wednesday type setup. Is this bowling ball type trough sets up across the middle part of the country. Obviously, we've got plenty of warm air evection out ahead of it. We've got higher dew points, higher humidity. We got the moisture surge coming off the Gulf. So that definitely sets the stage in the form of severe storms, likely starting on Tuesday night, going into the overnight time frame, getting into Wednesday, because we got plenty of water vapor coming back in the picture, and there's going to be a nice surge of moisture coming in off the Gulf all the way through Texas into Oklahoma, feeding into Iowa, back into Wisconsin, tapping into those well above average temperatures. And that is going to, set the stage for those severe storms and heavy rainfall. This cold front's not going to be able to go too far off to the east. We're going to have a ridge of high pressure that's going to be pretty much dominating much of the east and much of the southeast. So I think it kind of puts a roadblock. So I think it stalls somewhere in this vicinity and kind of backs up. And when it does back up, that's going to send another wave of energy heading into late next week, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, pulses of waves sending energy back into those same areas across the Central Plains, while much of the east and southeast will remain on the drier side, the warmer side. You never really tap into that colder air, but the middle part of the country, that's where you'll tap into the higher dew points and the rain, the waves of rain that'll likely unfold. So here's your snow. That's from the trough ejection that will be coming in. Yeah, we're talking some higher snow amounts back into Wyoming, into Colorado, into Utah. So definitely be looking out for some heavier snows. This is, of course, higher elevation areas across those regions. And then there's your severe storm. So we're likely going to be setting the stage for severe weather starting on Tuesday night, heading into the overnight time frame on Wednesday, likely from far extreme as the Texas Panhandle, western Oklahoma, but especially as you feed further north into Kansas, back into areas of, back into back into areas of the central northern plains, Minnesota, as well as into Wisconsin, feeds all the way into southern Canada, folks. Yes, very unusual for this time of year. And this is on going into, that's Tuesday. This is heading into Wednesday. So we'll have a lot of the same areas with that stalled frontal boundary. That front's not going to be able to go too much further east. So it will be stalling somewhere in this vicinity right here, keeping the instability alive for days to come. And so the main activity will likely be near the triple point. This is where the low pressure is. Those at that area that extends well to the north. We're talking Minnesota, Wisconsin. I mean, you should be cold this time of year. We shouldn't be talking about severe weather, but this is what we have with well above average temperatures this time of year. Mother Nature just doesn't know what time of the year it is. It's taking advantage of the air mass that it's given, and the air mass it's given is plenty of warm air to tap into this convection that's coming in off the west. There's the 540 line dropping all the way into Colorado. That's where the snow's going to fly. And then, yes, we've got much needed rains coming back in the picture for Texas and Oklahoma. This will likely bleed into Arkansas, Kansas, Missouri, back into Illinois. So they're going to get a good soaking starting on Wednesday, heading into Thursday. This is your Halloween. So Halloween is likely, you're talking Tuesday night into Wednesday, going into Wednesday, heading into Thursday morning for your Halloween. This is Thursday morning, will likely spreading back into the Dallas-Fort Worth area, into those areas across Waco, Austin, East Texas, into Arkansas, back into Illinois. This will continue to shift eastward. So by the time we get into Thursday night, most of these areas right here will likely be on the drier side. Most of the convection will be highlighted over here for your Thursday night. But by Friday, it's just going to back up, right? So it's only going to be able to lift too much farther to the east. It's going to back up as a warm front. So the warm air advection comes back. As the warm front lifts back over Texas, it's going to overturn the atmosphere again. And yes, we're talking more showers and thunderstorms in and around that area into Texas, into Oklahoma. That would be on Friday. And then going into Saturday, it's just another wave of moisture coming in from the south. So more heavy rain will spread back into Texas, this time Louisiana, into Oklahoma, back into Arkansas. We're talking those areas into Missouri, Western Tennessee, Western Kentucky. Those areas get hard with heavy rain, but likely the heavy rain sets up on the 2nd through the 4th. So we're talking, you get this initial surge on Wednesday and Thursday. You'll have a little bit of a lull. Then it comes back with a vengeance for the 2nd, 3rd, 4th time frame, from anywhere from Texas to all the way up into southern Illinois, back through Missouri. And it's been a long time, folks, that you've seen something like this, dark green colors over Oklahoma and Texas, where they really haven't seen a drop in like 5 or 6 weeks consistently. We're talking nothing at all, not even a trace of rain. They're about to get a super soaker coming back in the picture. So by the time you add it all up between now and next weekend, there's going to be a lot of happy people down here with the major dent and the drought that likely will unfold with what's to come for the southern and central plains. There's the temperatures. It stays cool out west, right? So you got that trough. Mainly the colder area keeps west. Yes, it bleeds into the central part of the U.S., but overall, the warmer temperatures at night don't really drop that far, and that cold front doesn't go into the eastern regions at all. So overall, for the next 7 days, you remain on the well above average side for the central and eastern portion of the U.S. But there's your soaking rains, folks. Yes, you've got the big time rains coming back for the Pacific Northwest. You've got lighter amounts. Some of this is going to be in the form of snow, but this is much needed rain across the board. We're talking multiple inch rains. We could be even talking some flash flooding for areas in Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, Missouri, Arkansas. Some of these areas could pick up 8 to 10 inches of rainfall between now and next weekend, right? So there's going to be some isolated areas that go from basically feast to famine to feast, right? I mean, it's just, that's the way it is sometimes, with all this pent-up energy in the atmosphere just ready to unload. And where it's going to unload, whenever you have a stalled frontal boundary in the area, that's typically when you get your most heaviest rains. And that's exactly what's going to happen coming up with this setup. And overall, with that system down there in the Western Caribbean not really going and doing too much of anything, still the National Hurricane Center has, over the next 7 days, remaining quiet in the overall tropics. So I'll continue to keep you well ahead of the storm. So guys, I appreciate you guys watching. Do like this video, definitely hit the subscribe button, and catch me next update while I protect you before and after the storm.